Today, I'm challenging myself to combine my love of painting and dressmaking in an experiment to try something new. A custom gown inspired by the spirit of the Met Gala, reimagined through my own artistic journey. Our adventure takes us from the creative inspiration of Paris, through the vibrant streets of New York, and finally to the one and only famous Metropolitan Museum of Art. I was lucky enough to have 3 incredible models reveal the gown at the end. If you're curious about how art evolves into creative fashion, consider subscribing to follow this transformative journey. My name is Ryan Jude Noveline, and let's get sewing. Paris is not just a city. It's a living canvas, a masterpiece that reveals its magic in every street, every stone, and every fleeting moment. Wandering through the serene pathways of the Luxembourg Gardens, I found myself enveloped in an atmosphere of timeless romance and ceaseless inspiration. Every step on the storied boulevards evoked memories of celebrated writers, painters, and dreamers who once roamed these same paths. Ernest Hemingway once wrote in A Movable Feast, "If you are lucky enough to have lived in Paris as a young man, then wherever you go for the rest of your life, it stays with you, for Paris is a movable feast." But Paris offers so much more than poetic lines and historical echoes. It's in the intricate carvings of century-old facades, the delicate interplay of light and shadow on the cobblestone streets, and the vibrant chatter at a local cafe where ideas flow as freely as the coffee. Spending even just a few weeks in Paris and the surrounding cities, getting to visit Versailles, I did not leave the same. The city just pulses with creativity, from the hushed reverence inside the grand museums like the Louvre, where every painting and sculpture tells a story, to bustling markets brimming with colors, aromas, and the promise of undiscovered treasures. I also noticed that much of the artwork in Paris actually sort of encourages you to really look up at it. It's as if the paintings and the sculptures, they just turn into angels and then take to the sky. Especially for an artist, just the colors and the gold, everything is absolutely mesmerizing. This is inside the famous Charles Garnier Opera House, where I found myself leaving enchanted and inspired. So my creative journey has always been kind of intertwined with the act of drawing and painting. Drawing was a language through which I would express my innermost thoughts and dreams. According to my parents, I actually started drawing before I was even talking. Now, after over 3.5 decades of drawing and painting, it always feels a little bit like coming back home, even though I don't really get to do it very often. Today, as I blend colors and shapes to capture the ethereal beauty of a sunrise, I feel the weight of every experience that has really led me to this point. Painting is not just a medium, it is, in a way, the heartbeat of my creative existence. In my own studio, each brushstroke is deliberate yet free, capturing emotions that words often fail to express. I immerse myself in a world of color where every hue is essentially telling its own story, a story of passion, struggle, and triumph. Making the transition from traditional materials and paints to digital ones was definitely a challenging process. The digital tools still have never felt as native and fluent to me as traditional medium. I find painting in general quite meditative, and as I'm working, I tend to reflect on moments of inspiration that have defined my journey. Going to art school, working as a fashion intern in New York City, and even realizing my childhood dream of becoming a Disney Imagineer briefly and enjoying all of what that has taught me. In this particular painting, I was thinking a lot about all of the different imagery that I saw while wandering around Paris, and the soft glow of the early morning light, the rhythmic dance of colors on the canvas, and the raw, unfiltered emotion that basically pours out with every stroke. And this narrative forms the foundation of the gown itself, a transformation of spontaneous creativity into a meticulously crafted piece of wearable art. Every painting session is kind of like a conversation between my past and my present. I experiment with textures and layering colors in unexpected ways that sometimes even surprise me. The act of painting is both a challenge and a celebration, a testament to the transformative power of art. I think I've always subscribed to the idea of pushing myself beyond my comfort level, regardless of the medium. One of the coolest things about going to school for studio fine art is that you really got to experiment with all different types of mediums, and I think that's kind of what ended up leading me to the idea of combining my love of drawing with the interest in later making dresses and evening gowns. I also had no idea how this imagery was going to look on velvet, so that was an experiment for me too, and I had never sewn with stretchy fabrics at this point. So there was a lot to learn. Recalling my days working as a fashion intern in New York City, it was reminiscent of the relentless pace depicted in The Devil Wears Prada, if you've ever seen that movie. Back then, I learned to be comfortable working on the floor, a shared experience among all the interns where creativity met the demands of high-pressure runway production. Just the scale of this project was pretty monumental. Every measurement, every enormously long seam, and every fold of fabric was a lesson in precision and adaptation. A lot of designers also work very differently in their processes too. Some of them are very meticulous about pattern making, and some of them don't use patterns and they just drape things. In the case of this particular dress, I chose to work without any patterns and just printed the fabric and was kind of winging it as I went along, which added the additional challenge of hoping that it would all work out. I don't recall exactly how long I had to assemble the entire gown. I think it took about a week to do the painting for the dress, and then this entire construction process was one more week. And I already had a plane ticket to New York for the footage that we were going to take, so the deadline was final. I'll tell you, there's nothing quite like leaning over an art table on your living room floor for about 4 hours at a time, trying to match up a print through velvet. It's character building, that's for sure. Whenever I am making a dress for a particular event, it is hard to remind myself when I'm in the thick of the sewing process that it is going to be something beautiful and moving and exciting in the daylight on a human being one day, because that's definitely not how it feels at this stage. It's hard to overstate the amount of focus required to align pieces as large as this, because on the reverse side, any small mistake is going to be extremely noticeable on the print if it doesn't line up correctly. The clip that you are watching right now, when I pulled it into the video editor, was approximately 56 minutes of me sitting in this exact same position trying to serge the edges of the dress panels. And then I threw together a draped top very quickly, and then it was off to New York City. I remember being an intern in the garment district and carrying 32 cups of Starbucks coffee in crates with another one of my fellow interns, and telling myself that one day you're going to be back here for your own work. Someday. My 3 incredible models were Tamisha Harris, Kim Vivas, and Queen Estrella. Walt Disney once said, "If you can dream it, you can do it." And a woman I don't know on Pinterest once said, "I'd love to be in Ryan Jude Noveline's head for 5 minutes, except I might explode." And I think about both of those quotes almost daily. I consider that if art is the light in the cracks, then who decides when you have permission to create? It's not something that you wait for, it's something you claim. And I came to understand that this dress perhaps wasn't even really about the Met Gala at all. The dress itself becomes the event, a moving celebration of creativity that I carry with me wherever I go. And on this channel, I'm bringing you along for every twist and turn of my journey wherever it may lead. And with that, we arrive at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, only a few paces away from some of the finest examples of artwork in the entire world. Today, I've shared a little bit about what inspires me as an artist, but I'd love to know what inspires you. Thank you for joining me. Keep creating and keep dreaming.